It all comes down to this. Are you a business man with a family or a family man with a business? Are you a business woman with a family or a family woman with a business?
Hey guys, it's Mindi Linscombe, your host of the Something New show, where we like to learn how to live a life worth celebrating. And today I'm so excited to welcome back one of my good friends, Scott Donnell, here with us in the studio. And if you didn't hear his first episode, please go back and listen to that, because you'll hear how he's helping over 6 million people learn family literacy when it comes to money. And I want to start just with mentioning your book. I just want to start right there, because to me, if you haven't been paying attention to the previous episodes, we've been talking a lot about how to teach your kids skills around creating value in the world and earning money from their own brains, their own ideas. And tell us a little bit about your book, because I think this needs to be a part of every parent's repertoire and something they're actively using. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so Value Creation Kid. That's the book. The healthy struggles your children need to succeed. This is the first strategy of all the best families in the world that have the best family legacies, the strongest families from generation to generation. This is the first thing we learned from all of them.
It says how to set expectations, expenses, and extra pay at home, with over 55 home gigs for kids to start earning money beyond their expected roles in their home. I love that so much. And tell me a little bit, when you say all of the best families in the world, I think people are like, how did you study them, or how did you choose them? I'm kind of curious about, how did you find the best families in the world and figure out what they did?
Yeah, well, I'll talk about creating value in a minute with those, because there's 3 things. I'll give you the best 3 they all do.
Okay.
So stick around. If you got to go somewhere, listen to this, I'll give you the best 3.
The best 3.
So, for the last 5 years, I've been obsessed on this one thing. I want to find the best families in the world as I define it, because it's not the richest families in the world. That's not the point. Those families are train wrecks, a lot of them. But what I wanted to find was the most connected, capable, and confident kids. The kids that are generous, they're kind, they're strong. They are critical thinkers. They're great with money and creating value, but they're deeply connected to the family. And most importantly, each generation blows by the last in their faith, in their values, in their skill sets, in the way that they make impact in the world with their families, their marriages, their kids. That's what you want. The whole world, the whole financial industry right now, this is going to fire me up, so
go ahead. You get fired up. I'm ready for it.
The whole financial world and the business world is like, I'm going to make you money. Here's how you make money. Here's how you make more profit. Here's how you blah, blah, blah. We're going to protect, secure, and grow your wealth. For what? For what?
Why?
90% of generational wealth transfer is gone by the grandkids. And what people don't study, which I study, is what you don't see underneath that number. Divorce, destruction, estrangement, all these problems. Like weak kids and grandkids that lose the value creation mindset because it's lottery ticket. It's imposter syndrome. The kids blow the money.
And they probably question themselves too, as when it comes to what do I have to offer? And they're very insecure. I imagine when you've been handed everything your whole life, you don't know if you're capable of even contributing something to the world.
That's right. And then they'll think the rest of their life that they didn't do it. It was given to them. Somebody else did it for them. And now they're under a shadow. How do you get your kids to blow by you? Get rid of your shadow. I have a good friend, Tom Barnett. Yesterday, I got some tough news. Some bad news. He's 80 years old. He's one of my closest mentors in my entire life. One of my heroes. Heroes in faith, heroes in business. He owns 100 Burger Kings. He's given away more money than I've ever seen. Just one of the most he has the world's most, in Vietnam, he was in Vietnam. He has the most flyovers in history getting shot at by missiles the size of a telephone pole. This man's a legend. He just got top franchisee worldwide for Burger King. They gave him a brand new, I think it was a Lambo and a Rolex. Sold him for cash, doubled it, and then bonused all of his thousands and thousands of employees. Fry cooks making thousands of dollars in bonuses, like coolest guy in the world. And he's got diagnosed with some bad stuff. And I got the news yesterday. But when it comes to legacy families, he's near the top of my list. Those are we have 100. We narrowed it down from several thousand families to our top 100, and we just studied them for the last 5 years. Sat with them, learned from them, hundreds and hundreds of pages of notes. For me, it was no clue what I was going to do with it. I just wanted to have the best family.
Yeah, you're like, I'm studying to look for some commonalities.
Yeah.
What do they have in common?
First one, they learn to create value. That's the top one. They don't chase money, they chase value. Money is a store of value. It's a measuring tool. And that's the point. Money is not the goal. Money is a result of impact. And it's only one type of value. There's 3 types of value. There's material value, there's emotional value, and there's spiritual value. These parents knew how to transfer those things to their kids. And when you do that, the kids have agency. They have power. They learn the capabilities and confidence to succeed in the world. That's the point of when you learn to create value, your kids are like light years ahead of everybody else. Like so far ahead, it's crazy. But the way they get there is through healthy struggle. We have 90 healthy struggles in the book. Soft skills, hard skills, business skills, practical skills. All the things kids need to learn that are not taught in school to help them create value everywhere they go in the world. And the moment they start creating value, it becomes like an upward cycle. So our cycle is this. Go through healthy struggle, just like any academic or athlete. They get this.
Yeah. Healthy
struggle, overcome, learn a skill, learn an emotional skill, learn to share your faith. Learn to like a small business, overcome a gig, learn laundry. Let's start there, right? And then once you've done that, you get capability, right? Now that capability immediately breeds confidence in the kids, and then they can create value. That's the cycle, and you just go over and over and over. And your job as a parent is to not raise kids, it's to raise adults. And so the more you can go through those cycles with your kids, the more it's like, it's rocket fuel for childhood development. This is the antidote to entitlement and spoiling and anxiousness and victimhood and laziness. This is the answer.
Insecurity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Forget all the other parenting styles. I'm serious. And
I know I agree.
I get so much flack for this, but I'm like, forget it all. Helicopter parenting, free range parenting, gentle parenting, all these things. I'm like, you guys are missing the mark. Teach your kids to create value, emotional value, spiritual value, and material value. And you are going to have a rock star family. So material value is what you create and produce in the world. Okay? The reward for that's usually money. Mm-hmm. Emotional value is how you think and feel and help other people think and feel better. It's how you become a good friend. It's how you become captain. It's how you become an amazing person to work with. It's how you become an amazing spouse. And then spiritual value, how you lift people up to something above themselves. To me, that's Jesus. There's no question. That's the best spiritual value in history. His love for us that lifts us up. To me, there's nothing better. But you know what else is a great example of spiritual value? We're going to put a man on the moon and return him safely by the end of the 60s. That was the last time our country arguably was united. It lifted all of us to a common mission above ourselves. Think about that. Mm-hmm. There's immense spiritual value in that. So kids need to see the world through that lens. And when they do that, I mean, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it's so fun to watch. I mentor these kids now right out of high school. Some are in college, some are not. Some did a gap year. Some are making 6 figures already. Some of them are like, got rid of the girl that wasn't right for them and now met the woman of their dreams. They're starting nonprofits for high school kids to mentor them. They just bought their first house. Everywhere they look, they're looking for value. And everybody else wants to be around them. When I started mentoring those kids, every other parent wanted their kids around those kids. Think about that for a minute.
That's a big deal.
You want to have the home where everyone else's parents, like, I want my kids around your kids, because whatever you're cooking
that
up,
little sauce there, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you want to when they're old and grown and gone, you want to be like pointing at them like, I did that. You know,
and even seeing the success of their friends from being around that time was so meaningful.
Yeah. So that's the first one, the value creation. And we can pinpoint exactly where a kid's at. We literally built a matrix that's like based on capability and confidence. We know if you're a value creation kid or an entitled taker or an anxious self-doubter or a lazy victim. That's a kid they don't want to go through the healthy struggles to learn capability or confidence. And so they just get stuck down there. Nothing's worse than an adult that grew up being a lazy victim. That's like the worst kind of adult, just so you know. They actually aren't an adult. I wouldn't call them adults. They don't qualify. But they blame their parents. They blame their employer. They blame the government. That's what happens when they fail.
Yeah. No ownership on it.
That's right.
Okay, and what was the second thing you said?
The second one is the home economy.
The home, okay,
Yeah.
which we really dived into in our last episode, so we don't have to go
We hit
long.
that, yeah.
Yeah, and then the third.
The third one is my favorite of all 23.
Okay.
So we have 23 strategies that we train in our workshops and our family money skills course. This one's my favorite. Kids need heritage, not inheritance.
And that's really where I want to go with this episode. So I have several questions, but this is a big one. And I just want people to know where we met. We actually hung out. We were there with our spouses, and it was such a life-changing weekend where we got to spend with the founders of Hobby Lobby. And you and I were both there talking about what do we want our family heritage to be known for. And we had to make these acronyms for our word and all the things. And I'm trying to remember what yours was, but it was just a fun exercise to imagine what do we want to pass on that's not related to money per se, because like you said, 90% of it could be gone anyways. And do we even want to give it to our children? Because what does it do for them? And so we talked more about what kind of like theme around our family, like what is the word or the feeling, or like you said, the essence of who we are. How is that going to be passed on from generation to generation? And I know you had already been really thinking about that prior to the trip to Hobby Lobby, but I would say for me, that was we had thought about it, we had talked about it, and you know, when you get married, you write a mission statement, whatever, all that stuff. But what I'm laughing about is like, what does it look like in a daily, and what does it look like with telling the heritage stories? And that experience at Hobby Lobby with you really triggered Jordan and I to take it extra serious after that moment. And we even scheduled a family trip with my parents, and we went back to where they're from and asked them to tell the stories. And I mean, we spent this summer in the Northwest, you know, doing some of that. And that was so intentional and almost like shocking to our parents that we wanted to hear the stories. So that was a unique experience to say, hey, parents, tell us your story. They were like, wait, you want us to talk about ourselves? We're like, yes, please. So sometimes even getting that heritage story from your parents is it takes an effort, but you have to be extra intentional with it. I just want to ask you, you know, when it comes to passing on our heritage and what matters, what's some advice you have? But then also specifically faith, I think that's one of the most important things we pass on to our kids. And I know you have some advice around making sure that we don't have 30-year-olds walking away from their faith when they're out of our house one day. So what are some of your thoughts around all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot here. This is an entire portion of our workshop, but I will hit the highlights here.
Okay.
And then anyone who wants to dive in, join us in our workshops.
Go to a workshop, which is, they can find you at dinnertable.com.
Yep, dinnertable.com. Just apply there. We'll have a call. And if you qualify, join us as we bring the best families together and we train on these 23 tools. But it's more about what you leave in your kids than to them. That's the point. But deeper than that, it's more stop doing things for your kids and do more with them. That's the point. You know, everyone says, I make money for my family. I provide for the family. I do all the work to get them into the best schools and sport teams and camps for them. All that matters is what's done with them. Like, so just think about this for a second. Kids don't have like a delineation between quality time and quantity time. There is no such thing to them. There's just time. The Legos you build with a 4-year-old could be a core memory, and you don't dictate when those happen. So there's just time. And that's why we say it's all about with, not for. When you pay for everything, when you do everything for, when you scoop them up and clean up all the messes and bring them the lunch and fight the coach to get them the playtime and fight the teacher to get them the A, and you do everything. That's not the right way to run. It's about with. That's actually heritage. So it's a last name that means something, and your kids have to know what it means to have your last name. Like for us, it was faith, family, fish. So we love God, we love our family, and then fish, because we're water people. We love the lake, we love the ocean, but fish is fun and adventurous, integrity, service, and hard work. That's what it means to be a Donnell. My 3-year-old can say it every day. But you can't just have the acronym, okay? It's about the stories that you tell, the principle-based stories. This is what we train on. Because in 30 years, your kids aren't going to be sitting around talking about a mission statement. They're going to be sitting around the campfire sharing stories. And you want those stories to continue the family heritage. That's the point. So even if there's crazy in the family, you want to find stories of your ancestors and your heritage and your parents and you and your spouse, how you met, your growing up, and then your kids, you look for those examples of them living out those values, and you celebrate that. Every time you celebrate it. You share it at dinner. You talk about it on the family. You know, we are huge fans of a weekly meeting. Just a quick meetup. What's everybody got going on? What's the goals? Here's what mom and dad gave to or invested in this week. So it's just like, put it all in. What are your skills you're learning? What's your intention? Let's go. All right. Simple as that. And this is really powerful to like just keep that cadence of heritage. And we celebrate in that meeting anything we see of our kids doing faith, family, and fish. That's how you pass this stuff on. You know, I think the quote, I actually heard this for the first time when we were in Oklahoma City. If you want to kill a culture, get rid of the chief storyteller. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's such a powerful, because I'm all about stories. Stories trump everything to me. They beat all. Marketing, business, like testimonials. What do you think a testimonial is? It's a story. Mm-hmm. Stories are how things get passed on from one generation to the next. Kids think in story. Kids are way more creative and imaginative than we are because it got beat out of us in the system. Kids love story. So that's why fun in life, in real life experience, are how kids learn. That's what we talked about last episode. But you got to be able to pass on these stories to your kids in a way that showcases the values, and you just look for it like a detective with your family. That's how you pass it on.
And then you make sure you don't just say it once, but you make sure, hey, these are our 5 key stories or whatever it might be. And it's over time, you make sure you keep telling those stories.
Yeah. Every day at dinner. What do we stand for? All the kids, even my 3-year-old. Faith, family, fish. How'd you guys create value today? And they just share.
I love it.
Can I share? Yeah, the faith. We got to go into the faith one for a minute.
Okay.
Right? Or do you want to ask another one?
No, go ahead. I want you to talk about that because you said you have some thoughts around, a 30-year-old walking away from their faith. How do you think about that now?
Yeah. The best advice I can say is don't outsource your parenting. I think a lot of parents outsource parenting without realizing it. And in your business, we're supposed to outsource a lot of stuff and only do our unique ability. You can't do that with kids. Like, why would you want to? But they outsource it a lot to the sports and the church and the school and the team and whatever, the summer camp, hoping that their kids would get the stuff that they paid for. But this stuff has to happen around the dinner table. You can't outsource it. And so, my buddy got a call. One of these 100 families called me and talked to me about this story he had. And this is Chad Johnson. He's one of my good friends, 11 kids, unbelievable family, unbelievable family. All of them strong, gifted, deeply connected, strong faith. I mean, it's incredible. Half are already entrepreneurs. Like, it's just amazing. The other half are just like incredible moms, incredible dads, adding value everywhere they go. Such a sweet aroma. He called me a little while back and he said, man, I just had a hard call. His best friend called and said, my kids are 23, 25, 27, all falling away. And he literally was just so heartbroken. Like, if I heard that, I'd give away anything in a moment for my kids to know God. And he was heartbroken. He's calling Chad and he said this. He said, what did I do wrong? We were in church every Sunday, got him into the camps, They were on the teams, best schools. I did it all right. Chad goes, did you ever crack open your Bible at the dinner table and just read a verse and say how you feel right now and how that hits you? And then ask the kids what they think? And he broke down in tears. And he goes, no one ever taught me that. So again, it's what we leave in our kids. It's more important than what we leave to them. I think faith is transferred through just simple life. I want my kids seeing me reading the Bible. I want my kids seeing me working hard. I want my kids seeing me praying with their mom and like being really affectionate. I want my kids seeing those things because then they'll embody those things. And then again, when you take a faith lens to this value creation idea for spiritual value, the moment they make it their own, the baton is passed. And then they get the confidence and capability from doing that. It's the same upward cycle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
In material value, like everyone thinks like, I just want my kid to learn how to make a lot of money. Well,
but then what?
Yeah, then what? I mean, they don't say that out loud. They deeply think it. They're like, I just want him to be secure. I want him to make enough. I don't want him to like go broke and go in debt and have all these problems. So they're secretly thinking it. I want them to chase their dreams. They can do whatever they want.
As long as they have their bills paid.
As long as they cover their bills.
Yeah.
But I think, deeper down, it's not just the material value that they want. It's the emotional. They want them emotionally strong and like a fortified soul. That's what you can do with this.
And I just want to like circle back to that comment that you made about not outsourcing your parenting, because some people have asked me, what does that look like specifically? And so I thought maybe for Jordan and I, we were told that when we were early on in our marriage, and it was great counsel. But some things that we've decided to do, even though we both work and have several businesses, we said, hey, there's some things that we're committed to. We're going to always be the ones to bring our kids to school and pick them up from school. And so that's a big commitment. We drive them from that 3:00 time in the afternoon until bedtime. It is like we are on. Like there's nothing else. No meetings are scheduled. But that is a commitment we've made, because that's just a small example of you get to hear the conversations on the way to school. You get to pray in the car. You get to talk about whatever. And then after the day, whether it was good, bad, or whatever, you're the one to hear about it in the car again, because they're almost trapped in there, right? They can't be on their phone. They can't be, in their room. It's like you're together. So I make sure my phone's off. I try to anyways. And same thing with my kids, that we're just really connecting on the way home.
Good.
And I think just being the one to say, okay, you're going to go out and you might be beat up a little bit today, but when you come back, this is a safe place. And your mom or your dad is going to be there at the end of the day. So that's not always easy. When you work, it's not always easy to be able to pick your kids up from school, but we've done it for 13 years to make it a priority. And it's been hard. You miss some important things. Sometimes you might lose a sale, or you might lose whatever it might be, but that's been one practical example of saying, we're going to be the ones to take them and pick them up from school.
So good.
So I think that's important. And, we've lost a lot of sleep too. I joke about it, but I'm like, because there's still work to be done sometimes, even though we're not done at 3:00. So when we get them to bed, we keep working sometimes. But it's just, those are some ways that you can really say you're a priority to me.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I was thinking of is Sunday nights is our family meeting night. And we always remind them what our family is all about, whether it's a walk or it's a sit around the dinner table. We try to talk about what our family is all about, and we look at the schedule for the week. And I think it's so important that your schedule matches what you say your priorities are, because sometimes we can say, oh, our priority is family time. Well, I'm like, well, where is it in the week? Where is it? Because you're all going different directions, and I don't see any family time or what have you. So I think that's just, I wanted to give some practical ways that we can see it play out. How does that look?
Man, when it comes to this one, you're exactly right. What you measure is what matters to you. And man, this whole do things with, not for, like you're doing things with your kids. We take that a long, like how far can you go down this journey of doing things with your kids? I want my kids to come with me on work trips. Right? Reagan's about to come with me on a stage and collect papers from the tables.
I love it.
I want my kids to see what I'm doing. If your kids don't know what you do for work, and how you add value to people, then they're going to think you're leaving every day to go do something more important than they are. So that's why you have to have these conversations with your kids. When I leave the home on a trip, and I try to make sure I'm back for either wake up or putting to bed if I'm traveling, right? We have the same rules, or they're coming with me, because why not? But when I go, I tell the kids exactly what daddy's going to go do. Here's how I'm going to go help people. Here's how I'm going to make an impact and create value for others. And here's when I'm coming back. And here's what we're going to do when I get back. Now they're supporting me. They're praying for me. We're FaceTiming. They're checking in on me. It's so much sweeter than, Daddy, you're leaving again.
Why are you leaving me? Yeah.
Is that more important than me? Why don't you want to? No, that's not how my kids look at it.
Right.
So you should tell your kids every time you make an investment as a family, as a couple, tell your kids what it is and what the return's going to be and why you did it. Every time you give, you should tell your kids exactly why you donated to that charity, what it means, how the impact and the value that's going to be created from it, and ask them their input. Do you guys think there's a better place we could give next time? This is how you bring kids in.
Yeah, I've even heard about like families, and maybe you told me this is possible, but saying, hey, we have X amount of money that we are going to donate this year. And
that was me, yeah.
That was you. Like, I'd say like, hey, how do you guys think we should give it?
Yep.
And inviting them into almost like a voting process of saying, this is what's on our heart. And even, I think you even said to allow them to suggest things. So maybe not even saying, do you like A or B, but do you have any C, D, E?
That's right.
Which is really cool to hear them almost pitch why this cause matters to them.
A family, your children and grandchildren will stay more connected to you and each other if they have a common mission with the money. That's why. That's why generosity and charity and giving as a family is the best skill. I look at it this way. When a kid learns to give, I actually put this at the top of the list. Now, of course, you can't give what you don't have. So earn's important, right?
Yeah, that step is important, earning.
Yeah,
yes.
You can't give. And the Lord blesses, well, he wants people to be wealthy, to steward his money right in the world. I believe that. And when it comes to charity, when you can teach this to a child, they have an open hand rather than a closed fist about the world. They have an abundance thinking, not a scarcity mindset. They think the pie can get bigger tomorrow and that it will be better than yesterday. That is the right mindset of a kid. That's a generous kid for life. So that's why this idea of stewardship and care and creating this value around you and teaching your kids to be generous with your resources and not just handing them a big check when you're dead, that doesn't solve any problems. That causes more problems. But if you can connect the future generations on how to be on mission together to impact the world with the resources
that they have.
Or
earned.
Yeah, or what you have left over. Put it in a charitable trust for the family to steward. That's the best way to keep that family connected for generations to come.
I love it. Did you have any final thoughts about heritage? And
I have 1,000 more
I know
thoughts.
you have 1,000, but anything that you're like, oh, I also want to just make sure I tell these. I have a lot of working moms, a lot of young professionals. I have working dads. I have a lot of people on here that I just think this topic is so important. And I'm so glad you're here because until I met you, I agree with you. There was not someone that I could find teaching kids about this. And so I really do look at you as the expert in this domain. And I've spent a lot of time, figuring out my own little pathways, but you've done a much more excellent way. And I'm thankful because I'm like, please pave the way for all of us to raise stronger kids that want to contribute to our society and our community and make the world a better place instead of just be receiving. I want to be giving.
Yeah. I think I can only do so much, by the way, in 40 minutes. But if people come to one of our courses or workshops, I'll change their life. I promise that. So that's my gift to the audience. Like, we'll figure out a way to help people get in. But I think the parting advice is this. It is never too late. I think a lot of people listening right now, as I just, in my spirit, it is never too late. We have co-parents doing our stuff, and they're redeeming it and really building incredible kids. There's been people with really bad issues Because every family has crazy. Let's just be honest for a second.
Yes, every family has
Every
stuff.
family has crazy. Even mine. It's a great family. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think what so many parents self-select themselves out of, I can't be around a crowd of people trying to get better as parents. No. Every single family has hardship, and it's called healthy struggle for a reason. It's a struggle, and it is never too late. If you have older kids, adult kids, grandkids, finish strong. You can start at any point with this training and these strategies for legacy. And by the way, legacy is not like the Donald Trump and the Rothschilds here. Legacy means having a last name that means something for generations to come. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people hear the word legacy and they're like, I don't want that. I don't want to like billionaire lottery ticket and like spoiled kids. That's not what we mean.
No, I think of Proverbs 22, and a good name is more valuable than riches and gold.
That's exactly right.
The good name.
So it's never too late to build. I think if you're hearing this and you immediately want to disqualify yourself, that's the pole to dive in. That's the pole to dive in. Because once you can overcome and really start moving through these strategies, it's going to make your family so much stronger. It's going to make your relationship with your kids so much deeper. And we're here to help. So that's what I want to leave people with.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you. Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, I'd really appreciate you liking, commenting, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to the Something New show. But more importantly, I think this topic we covered with Scott was so valuable. And so I was like, where can we find out more, Scott? And he said, dinnertable.com, just dinnertable.com. And you're going to go through on that website. They can sign up to get all 23 strategies that he talks about in his book. And what else is on there?
Yeah, so we have a family money skills course to train your kids. And then we have the Foundations Workshop where we go through these strategies with you.
I love it.
Those are our main two that people can help. If you want more and you want to take the next step, just join a workshop. It's a virtual workshop, 6 weeks. We meet once a week with a bunch of rock star fun families. We do the tool. You execute on the tool. We recap next week. We give you the next tool. And when you start putting these in place, it's the best investment you can make in your kids.
Absolutely. So dinnertable.com. And again, this is Scott Donnell. Thank you guys for joining us today on the Something New show. And I hope you have a great week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, review, and share with a friend. Also, follow the Something New show on Instagram and Facebook. If you want a fuller experience, watch the show on YouTube to help you create a life worth celebrating.